There was a time when I believed that trust was the strongest foundation of love. I thought if you trust someone completely, they will never break you. I thought love means giving your heart without fear, without doubt, without questions. But life has a strange way of teaching lessons that no one prepares you for. This is not a story about blaming women or men. This is a story about blind trust, and how it can destroy anyone, no matter how strong they think they are. Let me tell you about Ryan. Ryan was the kind of guy people respected. Hardworking, loyal, emotionally invested. When he loved deeply. He met a girl named Emily, and within months he felt like she was the one. She was charming, caring, and knew exactly what to say at the right time. Ryan trusted her completely. Not because she earned it over time, but because he wanted to believe in something real. He ignored the small red flags, late replies, changing stories, sudden mood swings. But every time he questioned something, he convinced himself, love requires trust. One day, he found out she had been talking to someone else behind his back. Not just casually, but emotionally involved. And in that moment, Ryan didn't just lose her, he lost a part of himself. The problem wasn't Emily. The problem was Ryan's blind trust. Because when you trust without awareness, without boundaries, without self-respect, you're not loving, you're surrendering. And that's where most people go wrong. In today's world, people don't break your trust suddenly. They do it slowly. One lie at a time. One excuse at a time. And the scariest part is, you start justifying it. You tell yourself, maybe I'm overthinking. You tell yourself, maybe they're just busy. You tell yourself, maybe I'm the problem. And that's how you lose control. Trust is powerful, but blind trust is dangerous. Because real trust is built over time. It's tested, it's observed, it's earned. But most people don't wait for that. They rush, they attach, they invest emotionally too fast. And when reality hits, it hits hard. Let me tell you another short story. There was a guy named Marcus. He was different. He didn't trust easily. Not because he was cold, but because he understood human nature. When he met someone, he didn't just listen to their words, he watched their actions. A girl once told him, "Why don't you trust me?" Marcus smiled and said, "Trust isn't given on demand. It's built through consistency." Months passed. The girl stayed consistent. Her actions matched her words. No drama, no lies, no confusion. And slowly, Marcus trusted her. That's the difference. One person gives trust blindly and gets broken. Another person builds trust wisely and stays in control. This isn't about men or women. This is about awareness. Because the truth is, anyone can betray you if you ignore reality. And anyone can be loyal if they truly value you. So the real question is not, can you trust someone? The real question is, do you know how to trust smartly? Because in this world, emotions can make you blind. But awareness keeps you safe. And if you don't learn this early, life will teach you the hard way. Ryan's story didn't end the day he got betrayed. That was just the beginning of something much deeper. Something most people never talk about. Because heartbreak is not just about losing someone. It's about losing your sense of reality. After Emily left, Ryan stopped trusting not just relationships, but his own judgment. He kept replaying everything in his head. Every conversation, every moment, every smile that now felt fake. He asked himself the same question again and again. How did I not see this coming? And that question slowly turned into something dangerous. I can't trust anyone anymore. This is where most people go wrong. They move from blind trust to no trust at all. And both extremes are equally destructive. Because when you stop trusting completely, you don't protect yourself, you isolate yourself. Let me tell you something most people don't understand. Trust is not about the other person. Trust is about your ability to observe reality without lying to yourself. Ryan didn't fail because he trusted someone. He failed because he ignored what he already knew deep inside. There were signs. There are always signs. But emotions have a way of silencing logic. When you're emotionally attached, you don't see people for who they are. You see them for who you want them to be. And that's where manipulation becomes easy. Because people don't lie just with words. They lie with consistency gaps. They say one thing and do another. They promise stability, but bring confusion. They give attention and then suddenly withdraw it. This pattern is not random. It's psychological. It's called emotional inconsistency. And it creates something very powerful: attachment. Because when someone gives you attention unpredictably, your brain starts chasing it more. It's the same mechanism that makes people addicted to gambling. Uncertainty increases emotional investment. And most people mistake that intensity for love. But it's not love. It's dependency. Let me tell you about another guy, Jason. Jason was smart, confident, socially respected. But when it came to relationships, he was weak in one area. He needed validation. When he met a girl named Sophia, everything felt exciting. She was not always available. Sometimes she was warm, sometimes distant. And instead of questioning it, Jason got pulled deeper. He started trying harder, messaging more, thinking more, giving more. Because in his mind he thought, if I prove my value, she'll stay consistent. But the opposite happened. The more he chased, the more she pulled away. Until one day, she disappeared completely. No closure, no explanation, just silence. And that silence destroyed him more than betrayal ever could. Because now, his mind had no answers. So it created its own. Maybe I wasn't enough. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I lost someone special. But the truth was simple. He didn't lose someone special. He got attached to someone inconsistent. And inconsistency is not love. It's confusion disguised as attraction. This is the harsh reality most people avoid. Not everyone who makes you feel something is good for you. And not everyone who gives you attention deserves your trust. Because trust is not built on emotions. It's built on patterns, consistent behavior, clear communication, emotional stability. Anything less than that is a risk. And if you ignore that risk, you don't become a lover. You become a victim of your own emotions. Now here's the real shift. Strong people don't avoid trust. They control how they give it. They don't rush. They don't assume. They don't ignore discomfort. If something feels off, they don't silence it. They investigate it. Because your intuition doesn't randomly create doubts. It reacts to patterns your conscious mind is ignoring. And this is where emotional intelligence separates people. Weak mindset says, trust completely or don't trust at all. Strong mindset says, trust slowly, observe deeply, and never ignore reality. Because at the end of the day, people don't break you. Your expectations without awareness do. Let me tell you a powerful story. There was a man named Daniel. Daniel wasn't desperate. He wasn't chasing love. He was focused on his life, his work, his growth. Relationships were important to him, but not his identity. Then he met a woman named Chloe. Chloe was everything most men would fall for: smart, attractive, confident, emotionally expressive. She knew how to connect deeply. Within weeks, they were talking every day. But Daniel was different. He didn't get carried away. He enjoyed the connection, but he observed quietly. One day, Chloe said, "I've never met someone like you. I feel safe with you." Most men would melt at that line, but Daniel didn't react emotionally. He smiled and said, "Words are easy. Let's see what actions say over time." Weeks turned into months. At first, everything was perfect. Then small changes started appearing. She would cancel plans last minute. She would disappear for hours and come back with vague excuses. Sometimes she was deeply affectionate, sometimes completely distant. Now here's where Daniel proved why awareness is power. He didn't chase. He didn't overthink. He didn't confront aggressively. He simply observed the pattern. And then one day, he pulled back. No drama, no emotional reaction, no begging for answers. Just distance. And something interesting happened. Chloe came back, with more effort, more attention, more interest. Why? Because for the first time, she felt she was losing control. This is a reality most people don't understand. When you chase someone who is inconsistent, you increase their power. When you step back and observe, you regain yours. Daniel didn't lose himself in emotions. He didn't let attraction control his decisions. And because of that, he never got hurt. Eventually, Chloe revealed her truth without even realizing it. She wasn't ready for something real. She liked attention. She liked control. But she wasn't consistent. And Daniel walked away. Not because he was heartbroken, but because he was aware. That's the difference between emotional people and aware people. Emotional people react. Aware people observe. Emotional people chase clarity. Aware people create boundaries. And the biggest truth is this: not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some people come to test you. Some people come to distract you. Some people come to teach you what to avoid. And if you don't learn the lesson, you repeat the cycle. Again and again. Now understand this deeply. Trust is not about believing someone blindly. Trust is about watching patterns without losing yourself. If someone is real, they will stay consistent without you forcing it. If someone is fake, their behavior will expose them over time. You don't need to catch people cheating. You just need to stop ignoring what is obvious. Because truth doesn't hide. It reveals itself, slowly, clearly, repeatedly. But only to those who are willing to see it. Daniel walked away without anger, without revenge, without even explaining everything he saw. And that's what confused Chloe the most. Because she was used to emotional reactions. She was used to people chasing her, questioning her, trying to fix things. But Daniel did something different. He chose silence over chaos. He chose clarity over attachment. And that's where most people fail. They don't walk away when they see the truth. They stay and try to change it. But here's the reality you need to understand. You can't fix inconsistency. You can't negotiate loyalty. And you can't force someone to value you. If someone is real, you won't have to fight for basic respect. Now the question is, how do you actually recognize if someone is genuine or just pretending? Because in the beginning, almost everyone seems perfect. Let's go deeper. Real loyalty is not loud. It doesn't come with big promises or dramatic statements like, "I'll never hurt you." Real loyalty is quiet. It shows up in small, consistent actions. It's in how they communicate when things are not exciting. It's in how they behave when you're not around. It's in how stable they are. Not just when they want you, but when they already have you. Fake people focus on words. Real people focus on behavior. If someone keeps telling you how much they care, but their actions keep confusing you, that's not love. That's manipulation. Or at best, emotional immaturity. Let me give you a simple but powerful example. Imagine two people. One says, "I miss you," but takes hours or days to reply without reason. The other doesn't say much, but consistently shows up, makes time, and respects your presence. Who do you trust? Words create emotion. Actions reveal truth. And most people get trapped because they fall for words. They get addicted to how someone makes them feel, instead of analyzing how someone actually behaves. Now here's something even deeper. Consistency is rare. Anyone can be good for a few days. Anyone can act perfect for a few weeks. But very few people can stay real over time. Because staying consistent requires character, discipline, and emotional stability. And that's why you should never rush trust. Time doesn't just pass, it reveals. It reveals intentions. It reveals habits. It reveals truth. If someone is pretending, time will expose them. If someone is real, time will confirm them. But only if you're patient enough to observe. Now let's talk about red flags that people ignore the most. Not because they're invisible, but because people don't want to accept them. One of the biggest red flags is confusion. If someone makes you feel confused about where you stand, that's not a communication issue. That's a clarity issue on their side. Because people who are serious about you don't leave you guessing. Another red flag is inconsistency in effort. Hot and cold behavior. Sometimes too much attention. Sometimes nothing. This is not mood swings. This is a pattern. And patterns always have a reason. Another dangerous sign is lack of accountability. If someone never admits mistakes, always has excuses, always shifts blame, that person is not ready for a real connection. Because relationships don't break because of mistakes. They break because of repeated behavior without responsibility. Now here comes the truth most people don't want to hear. Sometimes, you already know the truth. You just don't want to accept it. You see the changes. You feel the distance. You notice the pattern. But you stay. Because you're attached to the version of them you first met. But that version was not real. It was temporary. And holding on to it only delays your pain. Let me tell you one last short story for this part. There was a guy named Ethan. Ethan ignored every red flag. His friends warned him. His gut warned him. Even her actions warned him. But he stayed, because he believed people change. Months later, everything fell apart. And when it ended, he said something that hits hard. "I didn't lose her. I lost time I can never get back." That's the real cost. Not heartbreak. Time. Energy. Peace. And the worst part? It was avoidable. If he had just trusted what he saw, instead of what he felt. Ethan lost time. But what hurt more was the realization that, deep down, he knew everything. He just didn't act on it. And that's where real strength begins. Not when you find the perfect person, but when you stop betraying your own awareness. Because at the end of the day, the biggest betrayal is not what someone does to you. It's what you allow despite knowing the truth. Now let's talk about something powerful. How do you become emotionally strong in a world where people are unpredictable? Because you can't control people. You can't control their intentions. You can't control their actions. But you can control one thing: how you respond. Most people think emotional strength means not feeling anything. That's wrong. Emotional strength means feeling everything, but not letting it control your decisions. It means you can care, but still walk away. It means you can love, but still maintain boundaries. It means you can trust, but still stay aware. And that balance is what makes someone powerful. Let's go deeper. Weak mindset says, if I love someone, I should trust them completely. Strong mindset says, if I love someone, I will observe them honestly. Because love doesn't require blindness. It requires awareness. Now imagine this situation. You meet someone new. They're attractive, interesting, and make you feel something strong. Your mind starts creating a future. Your emotions start attaching. And before you even realize, you're already invested. This is where most people lose control. They fall for potential, not reality. They trust feelings, not patterns. They imagine a future without understanding the present. And that's dangerous. Because attraction is instant, but character is revealed slowly. So what do strong people do differently? They slow down. Not because they're scared, but because they're aware. They don't rush to label the connection. They don't overshare too quickly. They don't invest everything at once. They give things time. Because time does one thing better than anything else. It exposes truth. Now let's talk about boundaries. Most people think boundaries push people away. But the truth is, boundaries don't push the right people away. They filter out the wrong ones. If someone truly values you, they will respect your limits. If someone only wants control, they will resist them. And that resistance itself is your answer. Because people reveal themselves when they don't get what they want. That's when you see their real face. Not when everything is easy, but when something is denied. Now here's one of the most powerful mindset shifts. Stop trying to be chosen. Start choosing. This changes everything. When you try to be chosen, you ignore red flags. You tolerate disrespect. You overgive. But when you start choosing, you become selective. You observe. You decide who deserves your time, your energy, your trust. And suddenly, you're no longer at risk. Because now, you're in control. Let me give you one final story. There was a man named Alex. Alex had been through everything: betrayal, heartbreak, confusion. But instead of becoming bitter, he became aware. When he met someone new, he didn't rush. He enjoyed the moments, but stayed grounded. He listened carefully, but watched actions more. And slowly, he built trust. Not blindly, not emotionally, but intelligently. Months later, his friend asked him, "Aren't you scared of getting hurt again?" Alex smiled and said, "I'm not scared of people hurting me anymore. I'm only careful about not ignoring the truth again." That's it. That's the mindset that protects you. Not fear, not distrust. Awareness. Because the truth is, you don't need to avoid trust. You just need to stop giving it blindly. You don't need to close your heart. You just need to open your eyes. And once you learn that, no one can break you the same way again. In this world, it's not about never trusting anyone. It's about understanding who deserves it. Because blind trust will break you, but aware trust